Welcome to today's Explainer. So, if you've been watching the global auto scene lately, you know Tata Motors is just an absolute juggernaut over in India right now. I mean, they've been crushing it so hard, especially after those recent GST reforms streamlined the economy, that they actually just overtook Hyundai. Yeah, they're the #2 car maker in that massive market. But we're not talking about India today. We're looking way beyond those domestic borders. Today, we're going to break down this monumental shift in their strategy, their highly anticipated, incredibly ambitious return to the international stage. Okay, let's quickly map out what we're covering. First, the return of Tata, then why they're targeting South Africa, Mahindra's blueprint for success, Tata's 4 new contenders, and finally, the global macro impact. All right, Section 1, the return of Tata, domestic to global. So, here's the really crazy contrast. While Tata has built this absolute empire at home, always fighting for those top spots, their passenger car footprint overseas, it's basically non-existent. Like, sure, you'll see their commercial trucks all over the world, but everyday passenger vehicles, negligible. And honestly, this huge discrepancy is exactly what they are trying to fix right now. Now, this actually isn't Tata's first rodeo in South Africa. They first set up shop way back in 2004 with cars like the Indica and Indigo, and they held on for a solid 15 years. But by 2019, well, things got tough. They were leaning on these older platforms like the Xenon and outdated hatchbacks, and they just couldn't keep up with the shiny, rapidly advancing Korean and Japanese brands. So they quietly exited. But flash forward to today, they are back, and man, they are armed with a completely modernized, highly competitive lineup. Moving right along to Section 2, why target South Africa, the perfect export market? It's a really fascinating question, right? Out of all the emerging markets on the globe, why prioritize South Africa? Well, the answer isn't just about geography. It really comes down to this deeply intertwined economic synergy between what both of these countries actually demand from their cars. Just get this. According to a BRICS research report, South Africa has actually been the #1 importer of Indian vehicles for over a decade. They've held that top spot since 2013. We're talking trucks, buses, and yes, most importantly, passenger cars. So there's already this massive, totally proven pipeline just pumping vehicles from Indian factories straight into South African driveways. And you can see how this works on the ground right now. Heavyweights like Maruti, Hyundai, Toyota, they already take huge advantage of India's massive economies of scale and super low labor costs. They manufacture these incredibly popular mass-market cars in India and ship them directly to South Africa. Because, let's be real, the South African market on its own, it's just a bit too small to justify building giant factories to make cheap cars from scratch. So they just rely on India to do the heavy lifting. But here is the real game changer. The consumer overlap is uncanny. Buyers in both places are incredibly price sensitive. They want aspirational cars, but they absolutely need them to be affordable. Now, historically, cheap Indian cars meant lacking advanced safety equipment. But that's totally changed. Thanks to global NCAP and international standardized crash testing, buyers in both countries are demanding foundational safety. So a safe, budget-friendly car built for a family in Mumbai, it's literally the exact same ready-made fit for a family in Johannesburg. That brings us to Section 3, Mahindra's blueprint for success, a proven playbook. To see if an Indian brand can actually pull this off and conquer this landscape, we just have to look at Mahindra's playbook. They also went to South Africa in 2004, but as of March this year, they've climbed all the way up to become the 8th best-selling car brand in the entire country. For an Indian automaker fighting established legacy brands, that is a massive milestone. How'd they do it? It's all about extreme value. The pickup truck market in South Africa is brittle. You've got established Japanese giants like the Toyota Hilux dominating the space, but they cost around 30 lakh rupees. Then Mahindra swoops in and disrupts the whole market by offering their Scorpio pickup for just 17 lakh rupees, basically half the price. Sure, it has a slightly smaller engine, but it's known locally as a dead reliable workhorse. That kind of extreme value for money, that's Mahindra's secret weapon, and it's exactly what Tata intends to replicate. All right, Section 4. Tata's 4 contenders, the new arsenal. First, a quick bit of context on the logistics. Tata isn't building their own dealerships from the ground up over there. They've strategically outsourced their distribution and after-sales to South African Motors Holdings. Now, because you're combining local partner margins with international import duties, the final sticker prices in South Africa are naturally going to be a little bit higher than what you'd see back home in India. But honestly, as you're about to see, they're still wildly competitive. Let's kick things off with the entry level. The Tata Tiago lands right in this fiercely competitive bracket at roughly 9.5 lakh rupees. It's going toe-to-toe with cars like the Suzuki Espresso, the Renault Kwid, and the Toyota Vitz. Now, the Tiago's engine is relatively standard, but its true superpower? Safety. It has best-in-class build quality, which gives it a huge, tangible advantage over those lighter-weight competitors. Next up, we have the Punch. This little guy is strategically positioned to completely disrupt competitors like the Nissan Magnite. And Tata is playing a really smart game here. They are matching the price of their rivals' base models, but they're throwing in a punchier engine, a slightly more compact footprint that is perfect for the city, and a significantly richer feature set right out of the box. Then there's the Tata Curvv. And guys, this is a total wild card for this market. Coming in at about 18 lakh rupees, it steps into the ring with the Kia Seltos and Toyota Etios. But the Curvv brings something literally no one else has at this mass market price point, a premium, striking coupe SUV design. It genuinely looks like a luxury European vehicle, but it's priced for the mainstream. That aesthetic advantage alone could be a massive driver for sales. Finally, their African flagship, the Harrier. This one sits in a much tougher, highly segregated premium segment at around 28 lakh rupees, going up against some really advanced Chinese hybrids. To carve out market share here, Tata is heavily leaning on the Harrier's prestigious Land Rover-derived platform. They're signaling to buyers, hey, this is world-class premium engineering. When you think about this pricing ladder, stretching strategically from 9.5 all the way to 28 lakh, you realize they aren't just dropping one car and crossing their fingers. It's totally calculated. They have meticulously built a portfolio to capture almost every demographic, from the budget-conscious first-timer to the premium SUV consumer. It is a comprehensive market assault. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the global macro impact, shifting the narrative. So what's the big so what here? Why does this matter beyond just selling a few cars in Johannesburg? It is all about the narrative shift. For decades, the outdated global stereotype was that Indian manufacturing was merely cheap. But by aggressively exporting highly designed, technologically advanced, ultra-safe autos like the Curvv and Harrier, Tata is literally rewriting that story in real time. They're proving Indian engineering is fiercely competitive on the world stage. As the source material powerfully points out, this is a massive economic engine. Successfully exporting domestic products and tech abroad doesn't just pull lucrative foreign capital straight back into the Indian economy. It fundamentally elevates the entire nation's standing globally. Think about it. Every single Curvv or Harrier seen cruising down a highway in Cape Town is essentially a rolling billboard for modern Indian industrial capability. We've seen the perfect storm of consumer demand, and we've seen how Mahindra proved the extreme value playbook works. The stage is undeniably set for a massive industry shakeup, which leaves us with one incredibly provocative question. With this precise, cutthroat blend of extreme value and seriously upgraded technology, is Tata about to systematically dethrone the legacy automotive giants of Africa? Let me know what you think, and thanks for joining me for today's explainer.